What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be working on my buddy George's EG. Now, I've mentioned in a lot of videos that this car was going to come on the channel soon. 2 weeks later, here we are. Finally, we have the car on the driveway. In a recent video, you guys should have seen this car go up against one of my buddies with the K24 Integra. That was just kind of like a friendly run between the two, or three if you include Jason, but he had to go to work. We wanted to do some all motor hits before going boost, and now that that's out of the way, the car is here to get a turbo kit installed. Give you guys a quick little look here with the car before we get started. Now, I don't know what the color of this car is, so I can't provide you guys information on it, but this car has kind of popped up on the channel every now and then. Have people asking about it. I really don't know. And he got the car like this, so I don't know. It kind of looks like Jesus' color, but I can't tell you that 100%. So if you guys want to maybe see what color this may possibly fall under, check out the Lexus Jade Green. So his setup right here is, I wouldn't say it's practical for boost, but I'm not saying that you can't. So this is a poor man's Type R. It is a B18C block with B16 pistons, and it has a B16 head on it with all motor cams. He's going to be swapping that out later to GSRs, and the compression is going to be really high. I think on a calculator it puts it at about 11.2 or something like that. So this little baby turbo, it's gonna spool up really fast. What I am gonna do with this video is I'm gonna show you guys how to turbo your Honda B series swap EG specifically in this video at a bare minimum. So here we have a 50 trim turbo, the eBay cast manifold, the eBay wastegate, a Mishimoto intercooler, and all of this right here, the reason why it was pieced together is because everything was acquired cheap. Cheap meaning because a lot of this stuff came between friends, and we made a full kit to slap into George's car. I told him to grab me all the fittings. So right here we have a 45 we're going to use for the return line, which I have a bunch of lines sitting up there. So I told him don't need to buy the dash 10. We have the fitting for the oil pan right here. This is a weld on style, not a clamp on style like a bolt and nut style. We have the T off the back of the block with the fitting for the dash 3 line. We're going to be running onto the turbo, which already has its fitting there. Shout out to B&R Fitting for providing all of this stuff for the build. And then we have the downpipe dump tube, which I'm going to have to modify to work with this car using materials I have sitting around. We do have 750cc injectors. This should be fine for E85 for low horsepower, and I'm not going to run these just yet because we don't have a tunable programmable ECU because he is on chrome, which requires the ostrich and the burner and all that stuff. Here we have a boost gauge, which is again not 100% necessary, but it was so cheap from Harbor Freight that why not, right? Now you see right here we're missing the intercooler piping kit, but I told him, I said I have all of that in that box right there and a whole bunch back there. Aside from the blow-off valve, I think we have everything to do the job, but my main concern was the main pieces right here. Now, I've showed how to turbo your car from A to Z on my CRX. I'm pretty sure I did it on Tiger's car and a whole bunch of other cars here on the channel on how to turbo your car, but I'm going to do a brief explanation again for this one because I know a lot of people love EGs and they want to see more EGs on the channel. So today I'm going to show you guys how to turbo your EG. So first thing I personally want to do right now is bung the oil pan. So the first thing I got to do is jack up the car. Yaga. So now that it's off the ground, we're going to remove the header so that way we can access the oil pan and all of its bolts and nuts so we can pull it off. Header out now. And the header's off. So before I get to the oil pan, I'm gonna mock the turbo kit in place and clock everything the way I want it to fit in here, and then I'm gonna figure out where the dash 10 lands on the oil pan so I can mark it and then remove, drill, weld, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do with this turbo kit is I am going to clock the compressor to the driver's side. So it's going to go just how you see it right here, right on there. Reason being is because the EG has so much more space up in the front that I could, have the snell go forward. If you can see, it goes forward and not interfere with like the intercooler. Now the EF and stuff, I flip the compressor on the fan side, the passenger side, because I tuck it in more to give us much more space in the engine bay between the intercooler, core support, and turbo. But in this case, I'm going to clock it towards the radius support and have the downpipe on the passenger side. So this guy and this guy is going to get married right now. Oh, there it is, married together. I had to take the turbo apart because I wanted to clean the cartridge a little bit, clean the compressor housing, the inside, all the bolts and stuff, reinstalled. So now let's get this installed into the engine, so that way we can clock the cartridge and the compressor housing to get them to face in the direction that they need to be. Yeah, like magic. So the manifold, the turbo is on with one bolt because I am just mocking it up for right now. I am clocking the compressor housing and the cartridge to make sure nothing is going to be in the way of each other. So right now they are loose. I can still spin them around. On the bottom side, I do have one of the dash 10s on here to make sure that the nut for the compressor is not touching. You can see it right there on the left side. And before I tighten it up, I got to make sure that, you know, I can put a wrench to tighten up the 13 for the compressor and the dash 10 for the AN10 that's on the return line. So I think with this guy, I'm gonna try to shoot for like straight down as possible. Right there it hits. So I'm gonna back it up just a smidge, something Motion Auto TV would say, a smidge like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten up the top to lock it in place. And I've already kind of clocked the cartridge where I need it to be. So this is straight up and down almost. It's probably about 1 or 2 degrees backward, but the best way to do this is up and down, straight up and down, let it gravity feed. But I think you can play like a certain degree of how much angle you can have on the return and feed, but straight is the best. Right now it seems to be working this way with the 45 on the bottom going straight down to the pan. So again, I'm going to tighten this guy right there once. I'm going to tighten up this guy right here, and then I'm going to take this whole thing back out and lock it all in. Right here we have a 45-10 coming off the return on the turbo. The coupler is going to be sitting right here. It's probably going to come 90 out to go along the frame rail to the intercooler. So I normally put my dash 10 on this end far out. I'm probably going to clock this guy straight downward towards right there. So I'm probably going to weld that right there. Keep this line right here super short. You can see that's probably about 4 inches, and I think that'll work perfectly fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off this oil pan now. What the hell? This thing's got a plug on it. This guy's been driving around with a plug on an oil pan? This thing most definitely came from the junkyard. No mother's way. There's like gray RTV, red RTV on a brand new gasket. Why? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this pan out right now. Abracadabra. Man, this thing is pretty damn clean. I mean, granted, this is a poor man's czar, so all this has came out before. So we got the oil pan reinstalled with the new gasket. The only gasket maker I used on here was between the oil pump and the block to the rear main seal cover, and this is completely dry all the way around. I've never had issue with leaks. I don't know why people put a ton of RTV on a new gasket unless it's an old gasket. But moving forward, we have the 45 coming off the turbo right there, and then we're going to be using another 45 coming off the oil pan. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of screw this all the way kind of inward, and you can see this guy points literally right at the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take measurement right here, and then I'm going to build the line. Now, when you buy an eBay turbo kit, it comes with its own line system, which is a -4, and it's like a cheap line. What I mean by cheap is that when you try to make it go to like a weird bend or, you know, a weird kink, it's going to kink the line, and then it's going to stay kink, and then you lose oil pressure to the turbo. This is a stainless steel line with PTFE liner on the inside, and this is what I typically run in all of my cars. A good line system is designed like this one, not like the eBay one. You guys will understand when you guys see an eBay unit and you feel one of these or a brake line or something like that, you'll feel the quality differences. So this is what we're going to be using for our turbo. The turbo already has a -3 fitted on here with the flange. This turbo doesn't need a crazy restrictor, typically like a 060 or 065. Bigger the hole, the better for these journal bearings, and different turbos require a different line setup or a different restrictor setup. So we're going to go off the back of the block where the stock oil pressure setting unit sits at. Now, if you have an LS VTEC or B20 VTEC or just an oil sandwich adapter, you can run your line off of the sandwich adapter with the right fitting for your line. In this case, this is a poor man's czar, no extra VTEC line coming in and out of the head to the block. So our only source right now is going to be coming from that guy right there at the bottom, right there. So I just got some Teflon on this T right here. This right here goes to the back of the block where the oil setting unit sits, and I Teflon this guy as well too. So this one I'm going to put pointing towards the firewall. So imagine this is the block, this goes in the block, this goes towards the firewall. The feed line fitting is going to be coming from the top, and what I do is I thread this guy first, and then I leave this one off for right now because the fitting sticks out. It's gonna get into the filter, and then you can't turn this guy in. So what I do is I put this one on first. This is a 24, right? And then I use this guy to turn this into the block. You see what I'm saying? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it to where it's snugged, and I'm gonna point this upwards so we can put our fitting on for the feed line. And also, back in my days, I used to use a brass version because I was keeping it really budgeted. I got from Home Depot, and the brass actually breaks after vibration or with vibration, and then you get this piece right here stuck in your block, and then, you know, you either try to extract it or drill it out and then retap or rethread or helicoil or time skirt, whatever the case is. Try to avoid using brass. This is steel, and we should be fine. So before I 100% bolt this line into place, I'm going to change the gasket since we have it. These two Allen headed bolts, and then I'm going to pull this guy off, take that old crusty one off of the turbo, install this new guy. So right now, before I tighten up this one to the fitting 100%, I am going to make sure that this guy is secured first because of this like weird bindage. So you got to keep this one loose so it could turn and twist, and get this line all nicely not binded before tightening that one down. So before I do that, change that gasket real quick. God damn, this boy is thick as hell. Now we can put our feed line on, right? See how it has this weird like bend. So because this end is still loose, you can kind of straighten it out, give a good couple twisties, right? No more bindage, and then you can go ahead and tighten it down, right? The back side is a different size. It's an 11. I'm gonna go ahead and do that quick. Put a little zip tie right here so that this guy doesn't go down onto the pulley down there and then catch itself. So that is our oil feed system, guys. Where's your clips, my guy? And I also noticed this right here. This fool's alternator, it's not even bolted. I started a little late today, like 2 o'clock, because I was inside watching Fisherman's Life, catch and cook, camping, road trips, so on and so forth. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get everything done today, because you guys know when it comes to custom fabrication or fabrication, it takes time to fabricate whatever it is that you need to do. Right now I want to move into the dump tube and the downpipe. Downpipe first, because I don't have material for dump tube, I don't think. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotate the wastegate to the passenger side. Why? Because you don't want this to be dumping where the compressor housing is at, because then it'll suck up hot air. Same way if the turbo was sitting on this side, it'll suck up the hot air from this guy, causing high IATs. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it around, and hopefully that 90 that came with it, kind of, sort of, maybe, probably not going to clear, but at least it'll be lesser material to make the dump tube go down this way opposed to going that way or coming around down this way. So this right here is going to come after, or maybe even last, but my goal right now is to make the downpipe. So I talked to him. I think he's going to be running a full 3-inch exhaust. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a 2.5 and then transition to 3, because Kel did give me this little transition piece when I built my exhaust system. This guy right here, it's a 2.5 transition to 3, and granted the turbo outlet is a 2.5 or 2.25 anyway, so I don't have to put a 3 on it right away like how this guy is right here, because it comes really close to where the holes for the bolts are supposed to go. And I think it'll help me with clearance, going a 2.5 and then going to a 3 underneath the car, so I don't have to cut so many pies, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna go ahead and just clean up this piece. Actually, I'm going to cut this guy off, and then I'm going to use that flange, clean it up. If you're buying your custom kit, like say Go AutoWorks for example, your downpipe dump tube should already pre-fit. If you buy an eBay, they're hit or miss. Sometimes it'll fit, sometimes it hangs low, sometimes it'll point in the wrong direction. So then you would have to cut, modify, and make it work. So that's what I'm doing here right now. I'm not going to show too much of it because I've already done a ton of it here on the channel, but I'm just going to go ahead and mock up something and see what we come up with. Alright guys, so this is the downpipe. It looks weird, but it's going to work. So from the turbo 5-bolt flange 2.5 piping all the way out to a flex. It's weird because the flex is normally after the oil pan, but this time the flex, because of this pre-made bend, is actually sitting in front of the oil pan. And then it goes to a 2.5 transition to 3 cone, and then it goes to a 3 here, and then that's going to be open from here to the exhaust. It's really short, but he'll take care of that once he do the exhaust system, and then have a flange put there. So this is all removable for whatever reason. And again, this right here is bare minimum, using whatever it is that I have sitting around that I'm not going to be using anymore, and just making this turbo kit install for him cost effective. The downpipe and wideband is installed. All of the bolts are secured into place. I was going to do the wastegate, but I'll just work on this one last. Technically it can be open as long as you don't get into boost. You won't dump all those excess you know, fumes in the bay. But I'm going to tackle this at the end because I need to switch this guy around, and I still need to find material. Right now I want to move into the intercooler, and one of my buddies didn't bring the other pipe, so I don't have a blowout valve, but I can can use the same piping right now to get everything routed in place, or use a different one so I don't have to patch up that hole right there, well, another one right here, so on and so forth. So right now I'm going to work from the driver's side to the front and then around. But first I'm going to take note, he has fog lights. I'm sure he wants to keep it, so my goal is to mount the intercooler, you know, low enough that the piping goes under the fog, so it's going to be like down there. So fog sits right here. I'm gonna try to shoot for down there, and I'm just looking at it to see where the intercooler is going to be mounted to, because I don't see a bumper support. There's nothing here, but that's not a big deal because the intercooler has a whole bunch of these nuts welded on. So I gotta find whatever thread pitch that is so I can use a nut to make some flat stock coming from the bottom to hold it up. You guys get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the bumper now. Intercooler, I think where it's currently sitting is where I'm gonna mount this intercooler. So there are all kinds of ways to mount an intercooler to your car. We're talking about an EG in this case, and because the intercooler is short, small, this is probably a 7-inch or 8-inch, and obviously it doesn't reach to the top. If you had a bigger core, you can mount from the top. Most people drill it right here, and intercoolers with tabs on top, you can just bolt it from the top. If you're running a small intercooler like this, you can get away with using the bumper support, which then you can bolt to the bumper support. In this case, we don't have a bumper support, so kind of leaves you with two options, at least two options I can think of. One, you can make a bracket off like other mounting points and go to the intercooler to hold it up. In this case, I use flat stock. I'm gonna weld this to the frame, and then this is gonna bolt up to the intercooler. There's 6 points, 3 on top, 3 on bottom, and they actually use a regular Honda 17 mil bolt. And I'm gonna put one on this side, one on this side, and then align the intercooler, bolt it down, secure it, and then we'll get to the piping. So this is where the bumper bolts to, and the intercooler almost in the grill. So Houston, we have a problem. You can see the hood is not closed. Why? This wastegate is so big in the head that it actually hits the hood right there. So I'm gonna have to trim off the web in hopes of getting this hood to close completely, or he can change the head of the wastegate, or trim it down, or grind it down, or get a tile or a turbo smart. But I mean, cutting the hood is not really a big deal. I'm gonna call him first to make sure it's okay before I do so. Right now I don't need the hood closed, so I'm not worried about it until we get to it. But today we're going to continue the charge piping with all the stuff in that box. So in this box we have a bunch of piping from an EG DC Integra. Apparently a lot of battery trays too. So right here we have what is this, a 2? Oh, perfect. We have a 2 with a 2.5 coupler on here, but this is a 2-inch piping that normally loops around, you know, the frame rail of the EG DC EKs. The EF and DA guys, we don't have that little gap right here in the frame where we can loop the piping underneath. We have to go through here or back door. But in this case, we have that little guy right there. We have a 2.5 right here. We have another set right there at the bottom, so one right here, one right here. I'm probably gonna use these two guys. They're aluminum, I can weld it, and the thing is they tuck a little bit more closer to the frame. I'll show you guys when I get it somewhat installed or mocked up for y'all. But oh no, this one is actually steel. This is steel. Okay, I can't use this one. Guys, it's been probably 2 hours now doing this intercooler piping. and making it clear, the fog lights. So I just finished trimming the bumper, and it seems to fit, right? So underneath here, we already have the piping somewhat routed, right? Or mocked up, you can say. It should be a lot simpler when you buy your kits that come with piping. And again, piping, you know, it all depends on like where you're routing it. Back door, around, top mount, ram horn, cast, fog lights, no fog lights, behind the grill, or fully exposed. Intercooler piping is all going to be custom to how you want it. And in this case, we are keeping the fog lights, so I had to do a lot of cutting and measuring and, you know, mocking up to figure out how can we make the charge pipe clear the fog lights. So you guys just saw with the bumper on. Here we have an old piece that I had, the U, and then I had to make a ton of pies, one right there, 3 right here to go up, and then it transitioned from a 2.5 into a 2 from the turbo. And that goes all the way through the intercooler, all the way to the other side. And you can see right here, we're not doing the typical EG style, which wraps around the frame rail and then goes up from the radiator to the throttle body. Joaquin came by earlier, gave me this piece, which is already kind of pre-bent for, you know, where we need this to route to. And from the throttle body, we're coming straight down to this hole, and then it comes out right here, and this is where I had to modify to, you know, make this work. So right here, these 2 black pieces originally was a U. I had to cut it, twist it, add a piece here, add a piece there, and make it route up to where this hole is at. So you can see it's all routed in place, taped up, mocked up. Everything looked good behind the bumper. I'm not going to show you guys the welding part of this. It's going to take some time to weld 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full beads. And you know, typically in your kits you guys should already have these pre-bent piping and stuff to just bolt on. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this quick, and then I think that's pretty much it. Aside from the blow valve, we can just put fluids in here and turn the car on. All right guys, so can I get a time check real quick?
9:17.
It is 9:17 right now, guys. So a lot of procrastination, a lot of just sitting around, a lot of fitting, a lot of readjusting, but we got the bumper fitted up right here, and it's all secured into place. We got the light bar taken off, black intercooler. You can't tell it's turbo. That's freaking awesome. So we got the charge pipe right here all welded up. It is painted black, and then it goes around the bumper over here under the fog light, and then it goes to the intercooler right there. On the other side, same deal, it's painted black. It goes all the way through back here. You can see that under the fog light, goes up right there, and then it goes to the throttle body. Now we don't have a blow-off valve right now, but we are getting one dropped off tonight, so I'm gonna have to do that off camera probably tomorrow or some. But if you guys, like I said, have your own kits, either a pre-made kit or an eBay kit, they typically come with their own blow-off valve. But aside from that, the only thing left is the dump tube, which I have to go pick up material to do. Not a big deal. Got the vacuum line sourced to the compressor housing right there. It's going to be running off the wastegate, no boost controller. And right now George just did the oil and is pretty much ready to turn on. The battery tightened down a little bit here. Cool. So it is ready to turn on, and ready when you are. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to be the end of this video, how to install a turbo kit on your EG. Now this applies the same way for every other chassis. When you're buying your turbo kit, make sure you're buying it specifically for your chassis as far as intercooler piping goes. I hope you guys find this video useful on everything you're going to need if say you piece your turbo kit like we did to turbo your car. We're going to be buttoning up a few more things on the car here off camera, and tomorrow we're going to do an exhaust system. Originally he was going to take it to the muffler shop, but I was like, you know what, I got this 3 sitting here, I got this 3 midsection, I have the 3 resonators sitting there, might as well use all that, get it out of the garage, throw it in his car, save some money on his end, since this is a budget friendly turbo kit install slash full installation with, you know, exhaust system, because, you know, street car things. But if you guys enjoyed this video or find this video helpful in any way, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more content to come, this car, more Mexico, if you guys enjoyed the Mexico races, I'm sure you guys did because I read every single one of those comments. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.